The Indiana Fever just made a signing that has their entire fan base in complete revolt. They brought in Brianna Turner, a player with a documented history of publicly criticizing Caitlin Clark, and now fans are calling it the worst front office decision in WNBA history. This isn't just controversy, this is organizational chaos, and we're breaking down every explosive detail. Welcome back to the channel, WNBA drama enthusiasts. I'm your host, and if you love analyzing the decisions that make or break franchises, you're in the perfect place. Before we dive into this absolute mess that the Indiana Fever created for themselves, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, because this story has more twists than a soap opera, and it's far from over. The decision that shocked everyone. Let's start with the basics. The Indiana Fever signed Brianna Turner, and within 24 hours their fan base was ready to revolt. This wasn't a gradual disappointment or a wait-and-see situation. This was immediate, visceral rejection from the people who support the team financially and emotionally. Why such an extreme reaction? Because Brianna Turner has a well-documented history of publicly criticizing and mocking Caitlin Clark, the franchise's biggest star, and the primary reason most fans even care about the Fever in the first place. Think about this from a basic business perspective. You have a superstar who drives ticket sales, merchandise revenue, and television ratings. Then you decide to sign someone who has openly disrespected that superstar on social media. It's like hiring someone's biggest critic to be their coworker and expecting everything to work out smoothly. The social media evidence. The internet never forgets, and Turner's past tweets about Caitlin Clark have resurfaced with a vengeance. The most damaging one was her mocking response to Iowa's celebration of their NCAA tournament run. Turner posted, "Iowa is holding a runner-up celebration, and respectfully, I'm confused. Is this what a runner-up typically does now? Haven't seen this before." This wasn't constructive criticism or professional analysis. This was straight-up mockery of Clark and her teammates during what should have been a celebratory moment. Turner took a successful season that inspired millions of fans and turned it into a punchline. What makes this worse is the dismissive tone. The phrase, "respectfully, I'm confused," is the kind of passive-aggressive language people use when they want to insult someone while pretending to be polite. It's the social media equivalent of saying, "no offense," before saying something deliberately offensive. Now imagine being Caitlin Clark and finding out your new teammate is someone who publicly ridiculed one of the proudest moments of your college career. How do you build chemistry and trust with someone who has already shown they don't respect your achievements? The fan revolt. The reaction from Fever fans has been swift and merciless. They're not just disappointed, they're actively turning against the organization that they've supported through years of mediocrity. These fans stuck with the Fever through rebuilding seasons, coaching changes, and playoff disappointments. They finally have a reason to be excited about their team's future, and management responds by signing someone who represents everything they hate about Clark's critics. What's particularly telling is how quickly this backlash developed. Within hours of the signing announcement, social media was flooded with angry fans expressing betrayal, confusion, and outright hostility toward the decision. This wasn't a few vocal critics. This was a widespread rejection of the move. The fans understand something that the front office apparently missed. Caitlin Clark isn't just another player on the roster. She's the foundation of everything the franchise is trying to build. Undermining her means undermining the entire project. The blocking scandal. If Turner's past tweets weren't bad enough, her response to the criticism has made everything worse. Instead of addressing the backlash professionally or attempting to clarify her previous statements, Turner has reportedly been blocking fans who criticize the signing. This is organizational dysfunction at its finest. A new player is actively silencing the fan base instead of trying to win them over. Rather than showing maturity and accountability for her past comments, she's creating more division and hostility. Think about the message this sends. I don't care what you think, and I don't want to hear your opinions. That's not the attitude of someone who's focused on helping the team succeed. That's someone who's more concerned with avoiding criticism than building relationships. The locker room concerns. Beyond the fan relations disaster, there are serious questions about how this signing affects team chemistry. Professional athletes are human beings with emotions, egos, and personal relationships. Bringing in someone who has publicly disrespected your star player creates an inherently unstable dynamic. Caitlin Clark now has to share a locker room, practice facility, and team meetings with someone who mocked her achievements. She has to trust Turner with passes, rely on her for screens, and depend on her in crucial moments, all while knowing that Turner has shown public disrespect for her success. This isn't just about personal feelings. It's about competitive effectiveness. Basketball is a team sport that requires trust, communication, and mutual respect. When those elements are compromised by off-court drama, on-court performance inevitably suffers. The other players are also put in an awkward position. Do they support their franchise cornerstone or try to welcome the new teammate? Do they address the elephant in the room or pretend nothing happened? These dynamics create tension that can destroy team chemistry. The front office failure. The most damaging aspect of this entire situation is what it reveals about the Indiana Fever's front office decision-making process. Either they didn't research Turner's history with Clark, or they knew about it and decided to proceed anyway. Both scenarios reflect poorly on organizational competence. If they didn't know about Turner's tweets, it suggests a lack of basic due diligence. In today's social media age, researching a player's public statements should be standard practice before any signing. The fact that fans uncovered these tweets immediately means they were easily discoverable. If they did know about the tweets and signed her anyway, it's even worse. That would mean they deliberately chose to create controversy and division within their own organization. They would have knowingly damaged relationships with their star player and fan base for minimal basketball benefit. Either way, this signing demonstrates a disconnect between management and the people who actually support the team. The front office seems to have forgotten that professional sports are entertainment businesses that depend on fan loyalty and engagement. The strategic question. From a pure basketball perspective, the Turner signing raises serious strategic questions. Yes, she's a defensive player with experience, but the WNBA is full of defensive players who don't come with organizational baggage. The Fever are in a crucial development phase where everything should be focused on maximizing Caitlin Clark's potential and building a championship culture. Every roster decision should support those goals. How does bringing in a controversial figure who has antagonized your star player advance those objectives? The damage control challenge. The Indiana Fever now faces a damage control nightmare that they created for themselves. They need to repair relationships with angry fans, manage locker room dynamics, and somehow make this signing work basketball-wise. Turner could theoretically help by publicly apologizing for her past comments and demonstrating genuine respect for Clark and the organization. But her response so far, blocking critics instead of addressing concerns, suggests she's not interested in taking responsibility or building bridges. The front office could also attempt damage control by explaining their reasoning and outlining how they plan to manage the situation, but any explanation at this point will sound like rationalization for a decision that most observers consider indefensible. The long-term implications. This controversy extends beyond just one signing. It raises questions about the Fever's organizational philosophy and decision-making process. If they're willing to create this much drama and division for a backup player, what other questionable decisions might they make? For Caitlin Clark, this situation presents a leadership challenge. How she handles playing alongside someone who has publicly criticized her will be closely watched by fans, media, and other players. Her response could define her reputation as a leader and teammate. The broader WNBA also suffers when franchises make decisions that generate negative publicity and fan backlash. The league is still building its brand and reputation, and organizational dysfunction hurts everyone involved. The verdict. The Indiana Fever's signing of Brianna Turner appears to be a catastrophic miscalculation that has damaged relationships with their fan base, created unnecessary locker room tension, and overshadowed their positive momentum. Sometimes organizations make controversial decisions that ultimately prove wise. This doesn't appear to be one of those cases. The immediate backlash, the questionable basketball fit, and Turner's antagonistic response to criticism all suggest this signing will cause more problems than it solves. What's your take on this situation? Do you think the Fever made a massive mistake, or will this controversy eventually blow over? Can Caitlin Clark and Brianna Turner coexist professionally despite their history? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. This is exactly the kind of drama that makes the WNBA appointment television. If you enjoyed this breakdown of organizational dysfunction and fan revolt, make sure you're subscribed because we'll be following this story as it develops. Until next time, remember, sometimes the most interesting basketball stories happen in the front office, not on the court.